RFK Jr., who is running as a Democrat, trying to primary Joe Biden, still unclear, supported by the likes of Steve Bannon. I think Michael Flynn is even advising him. Married to actress Cheryl Hines, weird one. That's always sort of bothered me. Anyway, jacked dude. He was at a dinner at Tony's di Napoli on East 63rd. Not sure if you're familiar, Hari, but and it was like a press dinner on the Upper East Side, and he took a moment to just sort of wax poetic about the the design of COVID-19. He didn't really say it was a biological weapon, but he didn't not, and he particularly pointed to what he believes is COVID passing over Jewish and Chinese people. I guess we're included in this. Take a look.
We've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure, genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
Oh God, the Kennedy curse strikes in different ways, friend, and this is how it had struck RFK Jr. I like how his voice decided, I want no part in this. You can say whatever you want, but I'm not going to be a part of it.
His voice has been trying to give out on him for a very long time. It very much reminds me of, how Rush Limbaugh went. But yeah, so there's something with the receptors, the race receptors in the DNA. Like, shut up. The race science. God. So it's funny. It's funny also because, like, first of all, I'm Chinese, Matt's Jewish. We both got COVID. Okay. That being said, we're only half. So it's sort of like if I'm half Chinese and he's half Jewish, maybe there's something there. No, I guess the real thing that bothers me is just like it's 2023. Stop trying to make race science happen.
Yes.
And the fact that people still try to make race science happen is like, you realize that's Nazi shit, right? Like, not only is it scientifically completely incorrect that, like, we share as humans 99.999% of the same DNA. Remember, we share like 99.7% of the same DNA with like a chimpanzee or some shit. We share so much of the same DNA, and our like ethnic and racial differences are like a 0.0. It's nothing. It's whatever, 0.1%. It's nothing. And yet motherfuckers are so obsessed with being like, oh, but that 1%. As if, why is he trying to do the like anti-Semitic 9/11 thing, which is like, no Jews died on 9/11. Like, did you know?
I mean, it's strange, because it's not just simply race science. Is when he says targeting. Yes. Like that's the targeting, the idea that there was some manipulation and it was a Chinese Zionist plot to destroy the world. Like, what are you taught? Like, honestly, and it's just so weird. Like, you can imagine him like at 2 a.m. going down the wormhole, reading the web pages that he's reading and just writing stuff down. Like, this is it. This is the angle nobody else has.
Absolutely. No, you're right. It's not race science in the superiority, but it is the like, you can devise, according to him, like a bioweapon,
right?
But that can target certain races. Like, okay, I'm like, well, we'll see. When we have the rise of another Hitler, if they can crack that code. But so he decided to clarify on Twitter, which, God, rue the day that we can post as long as we want on Twitter. And this was a multi-thread post. He says the New York Post story is mistaken. I've never ever suggested the COVID-19 virus was targeted to spare Jews. I actually pointed out during an off-the-record conversation that the U.S. and other governments are developing ethnically targeted bioweapons, and that a 2021 study of COVID-19 shows that COVID-19 appears to disproportionately affect certain races. It's like, what? This is my favorite part. Since the Fiorentini docking site, you know, Hari, the Fiorentini docking site that we all learned about. First of all, I'm pretty sure there's nothing. Maybe I'm not a biologist, but I don't feel like, do we have docking sites? Like, do scientists really refer to like,
oh man,
well, the docking site of the anyway.
I'm sure he checked in with the rest of his Reddit forum before he posted it just to make sure that it was
and they were like,
sound.
Sounds good, bro. Keep going. But he did describe in his book, as Hardy, you're saying, his angle is this book, The Wuhan Cover-Up. He says ethnically targeted bioweapons are real, and history makes clear there's no population who should be more concerned about a thing like that than people of Jewish and African descent. I don't even know what he's trying to say. But he is, I mean, especially when it comes to like Black Americans, right? You know, history of like medical abuse and using folks as like live guinea pigs. It's just like him basically saying, oh, this was targeted against, because he's saying it's targeted against Black people, but to spare Chinese. It's just
no, it's convoluted. It's completely. And why is it going? Okay. Why go after Black people? What is the point of that? If this is true, is it just to look less suspicious? Like why that? It just doesn't make any.
No, it doesn't. And the irony is that the people who are anti-vaxxers were the same ones who in the beginning of the pandemic saw that it was hitting disproportionately Black and brown people and saying like, well, I guess it's a pre-existing condition. Well, I don't know. It's just a cold, but I guess they didn't, have like there was race science happening in COVID-19 when it appeared like, yes, Black and Latino Americans and people around the world were being more affected. To say nothing of like, oh, most likely to be essential workers and out there on the front lines.
Right.
Anyway, so
a quick question though. Does Sirhan have a son, and is he still around?
Did he get out? No. Who's the dude who just got out? I'm terrible with this. Sirhan.
One of the Manson family was released, I think.
No, I think I'm like, no, yeah, he was denied parole. Yeah, no, Sirhan was denied parole. Yeah, that's of course. But yeah, Gavin Newsom. Wow. I say let him out. Let him out. Just sick him. Just have him finish the whole thing. Just kidding. Anyway, shout out to Sirhan.
Shout out to Sirhan.
If you listen to the Bitchuation room, whatever. Yeah, no, he was denied parole, even though. But look, what's interesting about this, also, last thing I'll say is Marianne Williamson kind of jumped on this because Marianne Williamson has she was, she's running as I believe also in the Democratic Party. And she's
running as a witch.
Yes, running as a witch in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And is not an anti-vaxxer, but is definitely, again, as we've talked about, like, teaches some like bizarre strand of Christianity that was, I'm forgetting, of course, the name of it, but like she does a lot of woo-woo stuff and a lot of, like sort of, sus shit, to say nothing of the fact that her politics are good until you're like, we need to stop fascism. And she's like, no, we need to hug fascism. And you're like, I don't believe that. Yeah. But she was like quick to come out with tweets that were like, I condemn RFK Jr. And my mind was like, ooh, this is her angle, because like RFK was kind of like getting into her lane,
Yeah.
Her like wellness lane.
Now she's gonna look more reasonable too.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.